Hello and welcome to session 1 of Currens 545. This video is a session overview of just module 1. This session overview may be a little bit longer than most of the session overviews only because it's the first week of the course and I have some additional comments that I'm sharing about the syllabus, where I won't normally be doing that in future session overviews. So to get started, here we are inside of the course canvas page for Currens 545, and we have here at the top of the site the module for session 1. And as you'll notice here, it says the session 1 agenda, read this first. So always each week go ahead and dive into the session 1 first. You might the agenda first. You might come back to the module to access other resources, but that session 1 agenda is really going to ground you and be your map, your guide for going through the week activities. Everything you will need for the week will be either explained there or linked to, etc. So let's click on that session 1 agenda. And again, you'll have to do another click there to get to it. So it'll bring you to this Google Doc. So here we are on the session 1 agenda. Every session agenda starts out with some course questions, some guiding questions to kind of ground you. And our questions here today are really broad. So for this week, they're very broad because they're really just introducing you to the course. So what does it mean to be literate in school, in our specific discipline, online, in teen culture, etc. So really big arching questions. So those are very much meant to kind of ground you, and so grounding you this week just in what is this course about. Then there are the explore activities, there are then the discuss activities, the reflect activities, and then graduate activities if you're taking this course at the graduate level. If you want more details on what each of these phases is for the module, I refer you to the course overview video, which talks in more detail about those. So, launching into the explore activities, first off, you have some activities just to introduce you to the course syllabus, some introductory videos, speaking of which the course welcome and overview video I just mentioned is linked here. And then also a session overview video. So lots to organize you and orient you to what's going on this session. So since this is an introduction to the course, I do want to take a little bit of time to go over a few things in the course syllabus, since that's our first item on the agenda for today. So if you'll go ahead and take a peek at the course syllabus, there are 3 items I want to go over. Do take time to read through all of it on your own, and you will be posting 2 questions about the syllabus for this week. But 3 things I would like to highlight. First of all, I want to talk a bit about the weekly structure of each module. So on page 6, there is a chart that kind of hopefully is helpful in explaining the structure. So there are 3 phases to each module. There is an explore phase, in which starting Monday, all the activities for that session module will be available. So you can start doing the readings, start watching the mini lectures, start doing the other warm-up activities. Those can all be started on Monday. Then on Friday, you have a discuss activity that's due, in which you will need to do your initial post for the discuss activity. And those are linked in each module. And then by Sunday, what you have due is a reflect activity. And also the responses to your peers that's linked to the discuss activity. So this chart here is hopefully to reinforce the idea that you're going to need to visit the Canvas site multiple times throughout the week. You cannot thrive in this course visiting the Canvas site only once per week. You need to be visiting and connecting with other course members, your peers, and revisiting your own coursework and how it's developing and evolving. So you're going to need to come back to the course site multiple times a week. So another thing I'd like to point out is on page 7 and 8. So starting right here on page 7, on the bottom of page 7, is the late work policy. I do want you to make sure to take a close look at that. There are some late activities that receive no credit, such as the reflect and discuss activities. Those are very much built on peer collaboration and peer discussion and dialogue. So doing them later does not contribute to the course richness and to your peers providing your knowledge. So they really need to be done on time. And then when it comes to course projects like the blog post, the scaffolding project, etc., those do have a late fee. a late fee, sorry. They do have a grade reduction that's associated with being late. So do read through that. I do want you to see that and know what the late work policies are so that you can stay on top of class. Because this is an online class and is built on a lot of self-regulation and self-guidance on the part of the student, there do tend to be students that do not pass the class because they are not coming back and checking up on their work, or they're not reading what they need to be doing and not staying in touch. So please, if you're getting confused, come back to the course, check in again, check in with the videos, check in with the session overviews to keep on top of what's going on. And if you have any questions, reach out to me so that I can help as well. And then the third thing I wanted to point out is the final exam opt-out opportunity. So, and that I believe is on page 3. So if we scroll up to page 3, at the bottom of that page, it discusses the discuss and reflect activities. And the discuss and reflect activities, if you're doing those in a timely manner and you're contributing an adequate amount of discussion and connection to readings, you can actually opt out of the final exam. So there are a total of 15 discuss and reflect activities over the course of the semester. And if you complete 13 or more of those in a satisfactory manner, on time and adequate response, you can opt out of the final exam. So the final exam is worth 100 points. So if you qualify to opt out of that, your final semester grade will be calculated out of 900 points instead of 1,000 points. And if you're a graduate student, out of 1,350 points rather than 1,450 points. So that's how that works. So do read through those items more closely, and then let me know if you have any questions regarding that. Back at the session agenda, we've gone through some items related to the course syllabus. There are other things to look at as well. Then right now you are viewing the session overview video. After that, you then have some items to guide you through setting up and beginning your disciplinary inquiry blog. The first thing you're going to want to check out here is this resource list. When you click on this resource list, it brings you to a list of resources, everything you will need to complete this project. This resource list actually has everything you need for blog posts 1 and 2. So come check that out. What you have here on this resource list is you have a link to the assignment sheet, which explains everything about it, the evaluation rubric, and then a list of steps to complete this project. So this resource list is going to be very helpful as you begin and complete blog posts 1 and 2. So just going back to the session agenda, all kinds of resources here related to setting up your disciplinary inquiry blog. You don't have anything due this week except to post a link to your blog on our group Padlet poster, which everything is explained there. Starting next week, blog post 1 will be due. So review these resources so you know what needs to be done there. Then after those explore activities, then by Friday we have our first discuss activity due. And you just click on this link and it will take you to the prompt for this discuss activity. And the discuss activity for this week is primarily just introducing yourself and who you are as a reader and how you define what that means to read. And so we will be doing this introduction using the online platform known as Flipgrid. And this is a video discussion platform. And so you will be using it, you'll click on that link that I just clicked on and it'll bring you here, and you will post an introductory video. Right now, I'm the only one that's done it so far. The prompt that we were just on explains to you what you need to include in your video. I have mine there as a guide to get you started. So your discussion this week will involve doing a video discussion and then viewing some of your peers' videos and responding to them. So that's your discuss activity for this week. And that is due Friday. Responses to peers is then due by Sunday. And this structure is the same every week. Then to close off the week, we have a reflect activity, and that is due Sunday night. And you click on this, that will take you to the prompt. And it's very much asking you to, now that you've made it through 1 week of the semester, what are some of your hopes and concerns about the semester? So it's very much having you reflect on your first module experience for the semester. And you just click here in the reply box and you include your response. And that is how you do that. Now, that is due Sunday. However, you are more than welcome to complete the reflect activity sooner than Sunday. So feel free to complete that sooner if you'd like. However, you won't really be able to respond to the reflect activity with much content and understanding if you haven't yet reviewed the syllabus. So I would definitely go through these first items, reviewing the course requirements, before doing that reflect activity. But do know that you can always complete these activities before the due dates, the final due dates. And then we have down here graduate activities if you are taking this course at the graduate level. So that is our overview for this week. Again, it may have been a little bit longer than the session overviews will be, but hopefully it gives you just a taste of what each module will be like and how it will be structured. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me by email. And if you are near campus and would like to meet face-to-face to help ground yourself, I am definitely open to that as well. I look forward to getting to know you more throughout the semester.